Hello viewers, I'm SB and welcome back to Sunless Skies. We still have a ways to go, I think, before we reach the Avid horizon, but really, before we do any of that nonsense, we should probably chat with the princess and the rats and see where their stories are taking us next. Alright, the crew whisper of all the engineers and purderants just disappearing, leaving naught behind but sporadic ghostly screams in the machinery. Wow, that place is really horrifying. Is it true? 24 starlings buzz around the princess's quarters. It takes some time to make yourself heard. "Well, it's not true," says the princess, gesturing at a short woman with tall hair and spectacles. "My friend was an engineer. She hasn't disappeared. She's right here." The analytical suitor sits, staring adoringly at the princess. "However, I'm glad you're here. I understand that a new poetical movement, inspired by the more melancholic strands of the celestial school, is meeting in Warlebury Juxtamare. I wish to better study this notion, sadness. It is quite beyond me." She smiles. You're outside. I'm a little nervous having her on the train sometimes. You know, if she wanted to take over, I think she could do so very easily and with literally no resistance, and that makes me worried. But okay, we can head back to Warlebury. Hey, check it out. Occasionally I can actually say that. Alright, we have Wilma's part of the account number. Who's next? Cinders knocks back a shot of something unspeakable. "We have to decide. Our medic, Vianne, or our demolitions rat, Angel. They refuse to work together. Lord knows why the lieutenant kept them in the same unit. Though he did have sponge for brains and managed to bungle betraying us all, so I would venture stupidity." Cinders scowls. "Anyway, Sarge knew we couldn't keep 'em both. Told me while he was scammered on the gin. Gave both of them the same number." Wilma scampers forward. "Vianne's an old friend. She's at Magdalen's. She won't leave till she knows they can manage without her. We'll need to give them a condemned experiment. The Angel's completely barking. But if you want him, he'll want a party thrown in his honor. Munitions, some inspiration on our part. Up to you. We shouldn't choose between comrades." Okay, so Angel's at Polmere and Plenty's. We need to bring him munitions and a moment of inspiration, we have condemned experiments, right? Moment of inspiration, is that the thing that we need right now? Yes, it is. Okay. So I am inclined to recruit Vianne. Also, Vianne likes Wilma, which is maybe a good reason to recruit her instead, although I suppose there's a possibility, given that Wilma and Cinders don't get along, that recruiting Vianne is just going to cause the Rat Brigade to splinter into two groups. Then again, do I want a person who is described as completely barking and who is obsessed with explosions on my train? Probably not, right? Yeah, alright, I mean, this is a decision to make later, and I'm definitely leaning toward Vianne. So, we're still headed toward the Avid horizon, which is described as being a long way south-southeast, so I'm, aiming in this direction. I'm a little worried about our supply levels, but of course there's bounty to be had out on the open sky. We hope. Fingers crossed. It does feel like the game hitches a lot less in this area. I don't know that I've noticed it happening at all. There was a tiny little hitch there, and that's what made me think of it. I wonder if it's just something about the reach, maybe because there's so many objects in the sky. It might be the case that the more open map here is what's making the difference. Oh boy. Let's have the scout go out. That seems like a... Oh, I am caught in the edge of the powerful wind. What you got? Okay, something of value. Yeah, something very large is happening right down there. You know, the word horizon can mean a lot of things. Kinda makes me nervous that that huge storm is exactly what we ought to be going toward. I'm just trying to think, if we are to make it to 6,000 sovereigns to upgrade to a more combat-ready version of this train, very similar, just more combat-ready. I'm not 100% sure how we're going to put together that much money. It's a lot. Oh. Cantankeri cleave to rocks like these, apparently. Okay. I can't actually see him, so I'm just kind of shooting blind. Please, 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 please. Ah! You can hear me slamming on the attitude thrusters there. But you can't fire them while the train's overheated. Damn it. That was very narrow. Wow, I killed it, and I think I still took damage there, despite the fact that it was dead before it hit me. The corpse still had momentum. That's annoying. Well, I guess let's use the cannery to extract its heart. It said that something of value can be found in the shriveled casing of its heart. 70% chance of success. No part of a bull cantankeri is notably edible. Most of its mass is stony plating, and any nuggets of flesh that can be found are stringy and sour as old milk. So you put your cannery to another use. After much boring, you reach its heart, gray and brittle. Cracking it open, you find a cluster of gritty hours inside, the preserved moments of an old bitterness upon which a common cantankeri dwelled, bloating into a bull as it accreted new layers of plating and spite, like a pearl around a grain of sand, or a gallstone around its first fleck of crystal. Okay, well, that's cool. So I'm looking at the amount of fuel we have left and thinking that maybe we just gotta go back to London. Or we could try to make it to Little Nice instead. That gives us a little bit more information and also will allow us to pick up another port report. They sell fuel, but not supplies there. Well, the map has something mineable over here. Let's grab that. Yeah, we don't have the fuel to make it out to wherever we're going and then potentially back if it turns out they don't have any fuel there. How? How did I miss with all of that? I'm so bad. I'm trying really hard to back off here. But the backwards parts of the train really are not that effective. What am I doing? That's the wrong gun. Okay. Yeah, we're going back to London. This sucks. It sucks out here. I guess... I mean, it's going to be a pretty small number of sovereigns, right? I guess an artifact would be a better thing to get, especially since we now have a way of trading artifacts for other stuff. We now know something we can do with them. Yeah, let's just go back to London, man. We will explore. We will go back out. However, if we're going back to London, maybe we... Warburg Juxtabear is really far away, though. Yeah, we'll go back there later. I do really want to get out to the Avid horizon, turn in our literature, see some new stuff, you know. But this stuff is not on the same plane that I am. I assume this is an assaying thing here? Yeah. Honestly, we might not even have the fuel to make it back to London. That's possible. Well, between me almost getting murdered and us kind of not getting anything out of Pertinence, I guess we moved character plots forward, but this whole journey feels a little bit wasted. There's gunfire, and it sounds like it's right ahead of us. Although I would have expected to encounter it by now. Huh. Where was that coming from? That sounds like it might be to our right now. Well, I suppose let's not get involved, because we really don't have the time to spare. Skyfarers exposed to the haunting light of the stars are prone to sudden obsessions and erratic behavior. A crewman is staring fixedly from a stained glass window. "Look!" he points out at the apparently ordinary sky. "Webs! strung between the stars. And watch! Watch! There, did you see the stars shiver? Like dew on the cobweb when the spider stirs? You saw no such thing. Well, we can issue an additional ration of brandy. This is not like a terribly expensive way to solve the problem. And we did just open a new crate. Like, we'll definitely make it back. Confining them to their quarters, I'm sure, is going to have a bad outcome. We could try to just have them busy themselves with work. You know what? We'll just issue an additional that's fine. We can handle that. That evening, your engine is loud with song and laughter. Sky shanties are perhaps a little lubricated, the humor laced with a touch of mania, but for now, the fears of the sky are forgotten. A passing Cantankeri grumbles through the cold night. It tuts at the bright, glaring warmth of your windows. It flicks a disapproving antenna at the noise and the hour. When you have passed it by, it is glad to have the quiet and cold of the sky back. How would it know what hour it is? Yeah, definitely a good thing we turned around when we did, though. It is a real pain to maneuver around London. I've never actually been to London. I suspect that's true in real-life London as well, as it is in every large city I've ever been to. Trying to drive anywhere, just a miserable experience. Alright, I think the dock is around the north side of this building up here. Maybe? I already can't remember. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's just inconvenient to get south from London, because you have to go all the way around London. Well, we'll sell a couple of, bells chime. The inconvenient ant checks her pocket watch. Well, that's completely wrong. Yeah, we'll sell off these barrels of ours and just, like, resupply and head back south. It's a little bit of a bummer to have to do that. Feels like we wasted some time and money. While we're here, we may as well deliver our port reports. Our port report singular. We'll go to the market and sell. We don't need these barrels of ours. I think we hold on to everything else. I guess we don't know what we need a caged catch for. It's just nice. Like, it's nice to have weird stuff like this on hand, but maybe we could just bank this for a while. We're going to use the literature. We might use the tea, like, on this trip, right? What do we need a bunch of tea for? Oh, hold on. A long way to the southwest of London. Well, and if we find another Chorister honey, we're going to want the other 2 tea for the Devil storyline. So yeah, I'm going to hold on to, I guess, all this stuff. You never know when we may actually need the caged catch, right? Yeah, alright. I'm going to grab a little bit more fuel. We're burning fuel pretty quickly these days. Do I want to throw the caged catch in the bank and grab another crate of supplies? Yeah, alright, let's do that. There's nothing else that we're even thinking about changing, right? We only have 1,200 sovereigns. All the really fancy stuff is pretty expensive. Yeah, okay. Alright, we are ready for a longish voyage. Sorry, we are not yet ready for a longish voyage. I also need to repair my locomotive. 117 sovereigns, man. The thing is, when we're fighting other locomotives, it's not so important to manage our heat because I don't need to do the sideways dodge as much. I'm usually able to evade a lot of their weapons just by driving forward. When I'm fighting the Cantankeri, I really have to be more careful not to overheat because the lateral dodge is so important. So, I mean, we really do want to just, like, strike out past Perderance, right? I don't think I want to try to take any more circuitous route. We could swing down past the Clockwork Sun first, just in the interest of revealing more unrevealed space, but we'll do that in the opposite order, right? We'll go to the Avid Horizon first, and then over to the Clockwork Sun and back, and we'll end up revealing all of the same areas. It is going to be a long flight, however, so I guess settle in. Hey, can you squeeze between these? You can, okay. Yeah, I'm a little worried about what our fuel efficiency is going to be like as we keep upgrading to heavier and heavier trains. Because the next upgrade we plan doesn't even give us any hold space, right? We'll have the same amount of hold space, so we'll only be able to carry the same amount of fuel, except in a train that is less fuel efficient. I don't think we're allowed here, says that signaler, referring to space, I guess? Just sort of like everything? Now, the good news is, provided we don't get attacked by anything, we should have a pretty straight shot through what appears to be mostly uninhabited space. At this point, I'm starting to wonder if those gunfire sounds are part of the audio track or something. Well, they seem to have stopped. Nothing to worry about, I guess. Oh. Pretty good start to that encounter. Oh, you monster. Hey, that went pretty well. Well, we don't need to gain hull. So I guess let's unlock this with 60 hull. You needed 51. I feel like this check might be backwards. This is supposed to be an at most 51, not an at least 51, right? Well, I guess let's see if we can gain a Tale of Terror. Sky Stories. Great. Just what we needed. Ah. Okay, I lost one hull there. I was hoping I would be able to generate enough forward momentum to just be clear of that. Yeah, that went pretty smoothly. It's nice when we can come upon them from behind and they can't figure out how to turn around. If only all enemies were like that. Alright, once we get into the fog south of this last little open area, we'll start sending out the cabbie. And if he can't find us the horizon... This is probably good enough. Apparently, more mining to do. Should we assume that we will definitely get another Cantankeri here? I mean, alright, I'll just be careful. Oh. Okay, no. So, was it south-southeast or east-southeast? South-southeast. Okay, so we're in approximately the right area. I just want to be wary of what appears to be a really massive storm. Okay, well that's a little more south than south-southeast, but I guess we can check it out. Oh, something major occurred here. Wow, yeah, what is all this? I mean, we know that the history of this entire area is not necessarily a peaceful one. The graveyards were full. London committed the dead to the sky. Well, we sort of passed the ability to pretend we're not grave robbers at this point, but we should probably reduce terror a little bit. Let's just pay our respects and be decent for a moment. Not because it's the right thing to do, but because I think the crew needs it. Wow, that was a big reduction. Silence as coffins drift past the windows. A stoker removes his hat. You know, the little gestures of decency that allow you to convince yourself that you're something more than a meat robot are very meaningful to people. Grave robber. Well. Shoot. An Albion Marauder. Okay. Managed to avoid some of that. Alright, we got him. So we could raid the safe or break into the captain's cabin. I'm inclined to seek unusual items. You know how we do. Okay, some more hours. I mean, that's definitely more money than we would have made by searching the safe. Millersmith Sound. Put a little distance between him and me. Okay, he's in rough shape now. Oh, bad time to miss. That was a really easy kill if I hadn't screwed it up. Okay, we should probably repair the hull. Okay, 10 points. Not bad. And we found ourselves, unfortunately, not the thing we were looking for. And also, we've gained a level. Combat's been very good to us. So, let's think here. Okay, these are all of our cards this time. So, Pestilence, that's interesting. I mean, I kind of want to just keep leaning into what makes us us, which is to say, pick something that's got an eyeball on it. My masterpiece. A Promise of Days. Neither one of these has hearts available as a secondary stat. Or a Settler. You know? What is this? For a time he lived the hand-to-mouth existence of a homesteader carving a home on the frontier of the Reach. Yeah, I mean, we know we had to be out here and kind of in rough shape for the captain to have picked us up in the first place, right? A hardscrabble existence scratched from the sky a month at a time. The Reach is verdant, but its homesteads cling to tiny exposed sky rocks. Most fail. In the end, what drove you back to the skies? Predators or one bad season, one harvest where the crops grow weeping tumors or venomous nodules, one bad wind that rips a house from its mooring. These are both interesting stories. I'd say let's go one bad season. You know, after we got out of prison, we tried to make a good, honest go of it, not because we thought honesty was worthwhile, but because we were afraid of the consequences, and things really didn't work out. And so we end up homeless in New Winchester, hanging around the engine yards because the engines are fascinating, and thus Captain Whitlock, right? I'm getting a little concerned we're never going to find these docks. We can't be too far, right? I mean, the sky's a big place. We absolutely can be too far. Okay. That's gotta be it, right? South-southeast? Yeah. And a new port's always good for the crew's morale. Thank you, Auntie. The dock. Okay. We'll just wedge ourselves between these two shipping containers or pieces of an old dock or something. The Home Bureau. This is right? The Avid Horizon consists of 3 parts. The Home Office, clinging to a pillar of ice, the gate through which Londoners entered the sky, flanked by its towering statues, and the quiet sea, whose waters are home to those left behind. The very edge of the high wilderness, the border between now and then, here and there, the skies and earth. The few lonely buildings of the port face the great gate of the Avid Horizon. Bordered by 2 vast winged statues, the gate towers over the shrouded sea that divides the port of the gate. The other side of the gate opens far beneath the earth, on the bleak shore of a subterranean sea. London rested there for a while Her Majesty was indisposed with grief. A handful of years ago, though, she led an exodus of Londoners through the Avid Horizon and into the sky. You were among them. Do you remember how you came to this place? Apparently, I was always going north, a memory of light. You had learned all you could of the correspondence in fallen London. Your hair was singed, your eyes were wild. It was only a matter of time before the Crown took notice in your expertise. But you would not be constrained by Crown and country. Yours would be knowledge, for its sake alone. That is appropriate for our character. You booked passage on one of the ships bound from Wolfstack Docks to the Avid Horizon, far to the north of London. What better place to learn the language of heaven than from the suns themselves? Weeks later, through the northern ice and the dark beneath the world, you reached the gate. The statues loomed like giants. The door was open, and the space within was filled with suns and stars and the gold of heaven. The Home Office occupies a stately, albeit crumbling, manor house on the edge of an icy precipice high above the quiet sea. Once, thousands passed through its elegant halls on their way into Albion. The gate is closed now, and has been for over a year. No one comes through, and no one leaves. Now, only a skeleton crew staffs it, and only a handful of incomers remain, stuck here waiting for pardons or permissions that never came. Her renewed majesty has a long memory. Okay, well, let's compile ourselves a port report. No one pays attention to the horizon anymore. Perhaps they should. The few bureaucrats stationed at the Avid Horizon for one departmental sin or another reside in desperate melancholy. Those detained within the fated confines of the Bureau are almost reconciled to their fate, listlessly hoping for a reprieve from London that will likely never come. Beyond the Bureau, the sea and the sky lingers like morning mist. Exiles dwell there on tethered ships strung together, dwarfed by the eternal and uncaring statues that mark the gate to a home that cannot be returned to. Well, we could present ourselves at the Home Office. I don't actually have any idea what the Crown thinks of me, right? There's definitely a lot of reasons for them not to like us, but we don't know how aware they are of those reasons. It might not be an issue. Well, let's meet our new street line passenger first. Your contact said they'd be doing odd jobs in the storeroom. She also gave you a key to enter through the back. Between shelves of tat lined in neat rows, a woman with hair as white as cobwebs sits in a novelty rocking chair. She seems to be dead, as the Stovey Sam dolls sat among the merchandise. See, this is a little bit of a Britishism. If an American had written this, we would have written as dead as the Stovey Sam dolls, and then I would have read it correctly. She doesn't respond when you address her, but when you show her the ticket, her eyes widen. Someone came looking for me before, she confides, but I played dead, see? She joins you on your locomotive. Next stop for her is New Winchester. That's a real long trip, and not someplace we're going immediately, so I hope she gets comfortable. I guess let's present ourselves... No, hold on. I do have a question about this. I assume they were just talking about, like, a lot of mist, like we saw at Worldberry. A satisfactory scientific answer has yet to be presented. Theories have sprouted like mushrooms in its place. Some say that when the gate was opened, the Untersee spilled through, filling the sky like a leaky tap fills a sink, until Her Majesty's government was able to plug it. Others believe the sea to be variously the effluvia of the murdered sun, amniotic fluid to support the generation of a new sun, the fault of the Royal Society, an industrial accident covered up by one of the work worlds, or the tears of Her renewed Majesty for her dead prince. Okay, so no answer then. You could have just said no answer. The acting senior prohibitor is responsible for monitoring all those trapped at the Home Office. The detainees forbidden entry to Albion with no way back through the gate. He sits behind a little desk in the echoing hallway of the manor, precisely halfway between the station entrance and the exit to the sea. He keeps 3 things on his desk: a wind-up clock and 2 battered mugs. He surveys you coolly. You're welcome to take a look around, though we have precious little in the way of diversions. You'll need a permit if you wish to sail into the sea. I must ask you not pay too much attention to the cultists. There are good reasons they were never allowed into Albion. The clock ticks forward, its wooden pendulum moving forwards and backwards. Forwards and backwards. Weird. That's a weird thing. Well, I guess let's take tea. There's always time here. The Home Office supplements its meager funds with a haphazard tea room, open for the occasional visitor. Steeped and stewed, the tea has lingered in the Home Office for a very long time. An elderly detainee leans in conspiratorially. Much better than a few years back. It's improved with age. Matured. The detainee is quickly shuffled away so that you can enjoy your tea in peace. Okay, well, 30 sovereigns for terror reduction. Honestly, probably a fine trade. You can speak to the Prudent Observer, a brilliant astronomer of the Royal Society, now consigned here in his dotage. He just watches the gate. Yeah, you know what, I am ready to take on work. To entertain a request from the acting senior probator. He's watching you from behind his desk and biting his lower lip. Clearly, he has something on his mind. He does not look happy. Alright. What's up, guy who is staring at me meaningfully and kind of creepily? So good you're here, Captain. He clasps your hand. His skin is cold. I've been issued an imperial pardon from London for one of our detainees here. He looks at the 3 nearest guests of the Home Office, who are following the conversation intently. Just the one, mind. Procedure demands that someone cannot be pardoned without an independent witness vouching for them. It would be highly inappropriate for me to do so. He gives you a beseeching look. If you would help, do speak to them. Those 3. Return to me when you've made your choice. Wow, that's a heavy burden to lay on me. We have 1 pardon. Okay. So, it feels horrible to choose and leave 2 of these people behind, but obviously it would be worse to leave all 3 of them behind. The 3 detainees singled out by the acting senior probator have taken over one of the interview rooms. The aristocrat is contorted like a contented cat over a rumpled armchair. Portier sits on the windowsill, a cup of tea rattling in her hands. The nun occupies a stiff-backed chair and is reading something decidedly ungodly. You may interview the detainees and make your judgment at your leisure. You could, of course, make your decision without interviewing them, but that will render your choice somewhat arbitrary. Perhaps that's in keeping with the spirit of the place. Yeah, let's, I guess, at least talk to him. We could just sort of flip a 3-sided coin here, and as such, feel like it kind of wasn't my responsibility, the choice, so I don't have to feel bad about who got left behind. But that's the kind of lie you tell yourself that I feel like I can see through. Alright, let's interview this former courtier. Brilliant, magnetic, merciless, infuriating. Either her personality or her politics have kept her on Her Majesty's list of undesirables. She shuts a small hand mirror as you approach. Graying. I had a lovely mane when I arrived here. Red as June, they used to say. Was hoping to see the suns, but I suppose the palace hasn't forgotten. An MP I am acquainted with had promised it was all water under the bridge. Okay, I have some questions for you. Is that it? That's all the interview I get to do? Man, I want to know what was water under the bridge. I want to know exactly what she did. Alright, well I guess let's talk to this aristocrat. He is draped listlessly over a faded chair, occasionally playing with his hair. I'm gonna be honest with you, my biases are such that this guy, I feel like this guy's not even on the short list. He summons a dazzling smile as you approach. Oh, at last! My captain! May I call you my captain? He does not wait for a response. It's been a dreadful mix-up. I have a twin brother in London, you see. Terrible sort. Rather ruined my reputation with Her Majesty. Yeah, he's not doing himself any favors there. The nun. Surely she shouldn't be here. She lights another cigarette as you watch her. She looks down her cigarette at you and sighs. If I could have gone home by now, I would have. Nothing's worth this much bloody waiting, pardon my imperial. Was going to stay in a convent in the mausoleum, but that's been... I actually don't know what this word would be. This might be a British slang thing that I'm just not familiar with. I mean, like, my initial thought is bastard, just looking at the length of it, but that doesn't make any sense. People don't use bastard as a verb, right? To bastard something? It's been all bastarded up now. Okay, so that was no information at all. Well, we should decide in favor of somebody. She has somewhere to be, and besides, she's a lady of the cloth. Does she have somewhere to... I mean, she was just going to stay in a convent. She was just going to stay in a convent, I said. Like, that's obviously not important. That's not really that different from staying in a train station. They both, they both have a roof. Sometimes people die in them. It's functionally the same building. I'm going to decide in favor of the courtier. Partially, this is me thinking that this might be useful to us. Like, I think the courtier probably has the most to offer us of these people. That's a terrible way to make a decision, but I don't have anything else to go on. Her eyes widen as you announce your decision. She bounces from her seat to embrace you. For the second time in my life, Captain, I'm willing to say, sod decorum. Hey, I got one. The aristocrat pales and fixes you with a gaze as murderous as any dark and midnight hag. The nun merely lights up again. Yeah, see, part of it was I thought she was not going to be that upset about it. And I don't care what happens to him. The acting senior probator thanks you profusely before handing the former courtier her imperial pardon. So we've gained a cryptic benefactor and some money and stuff. 500 sovereigns, that's nice. I might take tea again and just dump our terror down to 0. Yeah, sure. It didn't do that. It reduced it by 1%. Never mind. Apparently the tea's not all that good. I didn't actually see how much it reduced it by the first time. It's possible that we were at 12. It might be the case that I could have known not to do that. I guess let's take a moment here and watch the quiet sea. The great glass windows at the south of the office look out on the misty waters. There's precious little else to do here. We gained terror. Cool. A pale emerald light washes the sea like spilt chartreuse. Offerings left by the cults to the gate blanch in the eerie light. Out in the water, someone is singing softly of home and hearth, and a child left in a cradle. There is a splashing of paddles in water, and the shadow of a boat heading out toward the gate, before all is lost to an oncoming wave of mist. You have exhausted these opportunities for now. Return in 15 days to gain 5 terror again. I guess we did gain a savage secret. Excitement fills the white-plastered chambers. Someone has brought in ginger biscuits. I mean, do we want access to the quiet sea? I guess there's no downside, probably. Cults reside on the quiet sea, abandoned by London, and despairing of ever passing through the Home Office. Visits to the quiet sea are not banned, but they are discouraged. You can reach the sea via a reluctantly guarded narrow path around the edge of the Home Office. Or you can assure the acting senior probator that you are authorized to visit. I'm not that good at lying. Also, we would need a permit. We can have a friendly chat with this guard, tell him about the wilder things we've seen, and he can imagine being anywhere but here. And for that, he'll give you a pass. He has to charge for the boat, however. 40 sovereigns and a vision of the heavens. We don't have a lot of use for our visions of the heavens. I think we could probably do this. I am curious. You can barely see the man's nose through the thick scarf that nearly encompasses his entire head. You certainly can't tell if you made him smile, but he nods slowly and takes off 2 layers of gloves to let him stamp a tattered pass. I think he indoors has even forgotten I can do this. Hope he hasn't forgotten me entirely. He nods you past, then pulls a blanket onto his shoulders. There is a jetty at the bottom of the ice floe. Descent is along a narrow iron stair welded into the ice that sways with the howling wind and is flecked by sea spray. Yo, that sounds terrifying. I would not... I don't know that I'd be able to do that. The sea is shrouded in rolling mist. 2 vast winged statues, cowled, rise above the white. A gate is between them, half sunken in the water. We've actually seen this the icon with this in it before, and I was not clear what it was supposed to represent then. It's a little more obvious at this size. Abandoned boats are scattered through the mist, some roped together, others apart. Lights speckle the water, the cultists aboard their flotilla. So we can leave an offering. The sea is peopled with the forgotten and the abandoned, those who wish they'd never left. It is customary to leave an offering at the horizon. For help, for hope, for home. That does seem like a thing we ought to do. We could just hang out for a while. We could sacrifice hours to appease the burrower below. A half-mad skyfarer once told you that the burrower devours time, and that the door at the Avid horizon was sacred to her. We would need a lot of hours to do that. We could approach the gate. Once thousands spilled through from the world you left behind. Now it is half submerged, and there have been no newcomers in more than a year. Your crew plead with you to stay. You can't do this if you have more than 85 terror. Well, let's leave an offering first. At the height of its powers, the Home Office processed tens of thousands of petitioners seeking entry to Albion. Some were rejected or left to seek appeals or help from Albion, caught in limbo between the office and the gate. Here, at the edge of the horizon, in the shadow of the winged statues, detainees leave offerings, prayers and messages to the world left behind, supplications to the cultists that dwell on the quiet sea. What will you leave behind? Food and fuel are both pretty precious to us. We are absolutely not murdering one of our crew and leaving them behind. That seems very grim. Or we could throw in 100 sovereigns. Perhaps not. I thought maybe we could leave them like, I don't know, one of our littler, less valuable things. Let's return to the quiet sea. Hold on. I'm not actually done here yet. I sort of want to approach the gate. And we're certainly not going to go through. But I want to see what will happen. We'll probably just gain a bunch of terror. But also, maybe inspiration, which is valuable to us. Definitely gained terror. Sky stories, man. The air is still and frigid. Your teeth chatter. Ice floes drift by in the mists. The gate is far from the flotilla. Your breath freezes in the air. A little craft loosely moored to the rest appears serviceable. Oars nest in the berth. You cut the rope and jump in, pushing out into the mist. The gate rises like a sepulchre. Its statues, twin cowled figures, raise their wings in an arch. The gate between the statues is Gant, the color that remains when all other colors are devoured. It is sealed, sarcophagus tight. When you touch it, it sears your fingers with the bitterest cold. It will not open for you. This is the end of the sky, and go no further. Okay, well those are pretty cool sky stories, but still, 15 terror is harsh. We'd sit in contemplation, but I can't imagine this does anything other than raise our terror. Let's just go back to the Home Office. I'm going to take tea one more time. I'm just kind of curious, like, is the amount of terror that this restores variable? Yeah, it totally is, actually. That one took 9 off. I'm going to do it one more time. That time it was 7. So we're at 14 right now? One more. Okay, there's only 3 there. Good enough. So, we have some things to do. Wow, 190 sovereigns each, huh? This was a pretty worthwhile trip, then. Those who remain at the Avid Horizon are desperate for diversion, distraction, or escape. The authorities will pay for 3 consignments of literature, which they totally did. The planetary romances of the turbulent fabulist are notably popular among the denizens of the Horizon, as is Botheridge's A Tour of Heaven. An amateur engineer gratefully offers to repair your engine before you depart. Wow! 200 experience and a full repair of the engine's pretty cool. And we could pick up some munitions here. What can we buy? Tea and supplies, no fuel. I am disinclined to load down the engine with additional weight then. If we could have bought fuel, I would have considered picking up some munitions as well. Alright, I think we're done here then. Weird place. So. We also have a prospect to bring tea to a long way southwest of London. Where do I imagine that would be? I bet it's like over here. That's a very long trip. We could try to just swing through Perderance. We can't write a port report unless we have an invitation, can we? My concern is that with only 2 barrels of fuel left, I don't think we're going to make it up here and back there. And we don't know if they sell fuel. We know that Perderance doesn't sell anything. So maybe we go back to London by trying to go north first. Just, you know, get ourselves a little bit more illuminated sky. I don't think we have the supplies to try to do anything other than basically just head home. Who knows? Maybe we'll encounter some really cool stuff out here. Also, maybe we'll get killed. That's a possibility. That would also be exciting in its own way. Oh, look at all those ships. Okay, well. That's that big storm. Okay, that guy's gonna run off, and I think I am inclined to allow him to do so. The Supralapsarian. Please be fuel. Okay, munitions in a fight that I don't particularly want to have to fight. I was hoping to get him to charge into that big rock, but he sort of swung around there. Oh, that's a shame. Okay, he's very close. Did I really? Come on, come on, come on. Okay. Didn't take too much damage there. Let's gain random treasures. A faintly luminescent cage containing a vision of the heavens. A silver idol rests inside the cage. 4 wings extend from its hunched shoulders. Made from moonstone, your navigator says in a hushed voice. To amplify the light of the stars. Okay. Well, I mean, we got some munitions out of the thing. That'll sell at least. We really do just have to head back to London now, though. That's fine. We have the fuel to make it back. Must we? Well, I bet that's another Marauder. That's going to complicate things, or maybe make things really great. Ow. That's cool. I'm down with that. Oh, steer. Yeah, if they're just going to shoot each other a lot, I'm like all the way in on them shooting each other. Let's repair our hull real quick here in the middle of combat. Well, I suppose it's probably better that we fought them together than separately, because it's faster with them shooting each other. Stop turning. Okay. Seek unusual items. Like, I don't know, a barrel of fuel. Alright. Well, I guess we're going around the outside of this massive storm, because I can't imagine that it's a good idea to do anything other than that. Probably afford to send the caveat, why not? Nope. Not interested in a huge horror that is off course. I'm a little worried about our fuel situation. Worried enough that I really don't want to get involved in any more fighting because I don't think we can afford to slow down. But I will keep sending the caveat because if he finds another port, you know, we can at least have a chance of picking up some fuel. Or if there's stuff that's not too far off course, that could be fuel as well. You know what? Let's go look. Could be a dead locomotive, which means they could have stuff aboard. Ah. Well, these are unlikely to have fuel. Should we break open a coffin? I don't think we need the terror reduction all that badly. This is almost certainly going to increase our terror, but also stuff, free stuff, right? 80 sovereigns who enlist your least scrupled crewmen and exit the main hatch. Maneuvering close, your nominee gets out on the footplate in the driving wind and hooks a coffin with the coal shovel. The lid comes off with a groan before falling away into the sky. Well, it seems this poor soul tried to take it with them after all. Oh! Hey, how you doing? Okay, I really, really don't want to do this right now, because it takes such a long time to kill these guys. I'm just gonna run. We're just gonna run. That was a lot of terror that we gained really quickly there. Are we going roughly the right direction? We are going roughly the right direction. I'm going to veer this way just a little bit so that we don't accidentally encounter the horror that we just discovered. Seems like there's a lot of horrors out here. The southern and eastern parts of Albion are a lot less friendly than the northern parts were. Show me a port. Something ghastly. Okay, well, we are giving that area a wide berth then. Notice he's not feeling as chatty as he often does when he comes back aboard. So, we made an awful lot of money on that trip, but we're kind of in... We're aside from the ministry delivery, we're not really in much better state than we were before. Your dream of falling. It's a common dream here. The fogs that bedevil the high wilderness are thick about you, and through them, below, you see something stir. A beast. Behemoth. Almost a dragon. Almost a whale. Almost a continent. It gnaws on the roots of heaven, and all the fogs of the wilderness are its steaming breath. Its maw opens, wide as the gulf between stars. You wake. Well, let's, we've had reasonably good results just trying to talk to the crew and calm down. Find someone in the galley. They couldn't sleep either. You exchange a bleary greeting, a stiff pot of tea, and a conversation about the overflow valves. Already, your dream seems distant and silly. Still, pretty terrified. Okay. Did my scout really... Is this what he revealed? The thing that we could already see? I think it is. Well, the good news is, I think I was underestimating our fuel efficiency a little bit, and we're totally going to make it back to London, probably. It is a good thing we didn't stop to try to fight the Scribe Spinster, though. It's also very lucky that he didn't have any interest in following us. That has certainly not been our experience with those guys. So we could try and drop off the tea at the Clockwork Sun. I guess I do want to see what's up with the Clockwork Sun. We do also have quite a bit of reason to go back to the Reach. We'll stop through Whortleberry on our way back to the Reach because it's not that far from the transit relay. I'm kind of curious where these officer plots actually go. Like, what happens if you complete an officer's storyline? Also, I gotta tell you, so I was very sick last week. I am, like, completely better now, except when I start talking a lot, for some reason, I start feeling all stuffy again. I'm not sure why it is, but it has definitely kicked in over the course of this video. I hope not too audibly. But that's a very strange thing. Why would speaking do that? I don't understand anything about the human body, to be fair. Alright, let's go and turn in our one report. And then I don't think we have anything else we want to do here. We need 6 gratitude for an unlicensed chart, which we will totally get. What's our gratitude now? 2, right? I did spend it all. Okay. Yeah, that's extremely doable. That's a good way to get a chart. And for the moment, the way we're going to get that other moment of inspiration still seems to be nameplates from the Dreadnoughts, which means at some point we got to kill a whole bunch more Dreadnoughts. Gemstones for the Mausoleum or munitions for Brabazon. The governor of Brabazon Workworld requires 5 crates of munitions. I think maybe we shouldn't do that. I think we should not bring them that. Okay, we want... What was I here for? I was here to buy fuel and supplies. Because obviously we need those things very badly. And we can sell these. I think I'm just going to go ahead and sell the munitions as well. Alright, so we're like a third of the way to that new train. No, it's not exactly amazing. So should we trade some stuff? We have 600 sovereigns worth of cryptic benefactors. We don't have a ton of gossip anymore, and we actually do have uses for that. No, I guess not. So I suppose then, the question, we may as well finish repairing the ship, right? No reason to go out anything less than completely full. And then, like, is there any reason that we would do anything other than just go check out the Clockwork Sun? I am very curious about the Clockwork Sun. In particular, I'm curious about sabotage, whether it could be sabotaged, what it would mean to sabotage it. I guess let's, like, really load down with fuel and supplies and just try to... I might even sit here for a second and let our current crate of supplies expire. And then buy a new one, so we're really at full, because I do want to be able to use the cabbie. Basically, stuff doesn't expire while you're technically docked. Okay, yeah, let's see if we can find the Clockwork Sun, a long way to the southwest. There's still a lot of Albion unexplored. I don't know exactly how many ports there are, but I would assume that Albion is going to be more densely populated than the Reach, so there might be quite a few left, right? Should we swing through Brabazon? We should probably swing through Brabazon at least to get the port report, because we definitely need both the money and the favor of the new line, or the new street line rather. We do not have... What did they need? They needed honey and something. tea and... Oh, no, sorry, yeah. We're on this. Nectar and permits. We don't really have a good source of permits. I mean, we're pretty much just going to have to fight Dreadnoughts for them, right? I guess that's the thing we ought to be into. I'm not going to do it here in London where, you know, there's definitely going to be more guys around, but we should, if we encounter Dreadnoughts just sort of like out in the world, we should probably try to take them down. It's not too hard as long as we get the drop on them, right? I want to make sure I'm not headed too far south immediately. Also, we seem to need a lot of Chorister Nectar lately, so a trip back to the Reach, like just to go to Titania and blow up a lot of bees is probably worthwhile. As much as I hate the idea. You know, we've had some bad times with those Chorister bees, but they're not actually that dangerous, it doesn't seem like. Like, it's hard to stop them from hitting you, but they don't do that much damage when they hit you. And they're not too hard to kill unless you accidentally manage to fire your projectile between the bees, which has happened to us, to be fair. People at Brabazon should stop complaining. Miserable? Move somewhere else. Princess, come on. I used to like you. I mean, she's nobility, right? What can you expect? The last day, a horn blares. Factory doors creak open. Those work-worlders lucky enough to have reached the end of their service blink in the light of freedom. They were young when they first arrived. Now their skin is calloused and wrinkled, aged not only by hard labor, but the slow-burning light of the clockwork sun. They are due to be released, but Brabazon never makes it easy. Yeah, we should try to help... Wow, really? My mirror skill is good, too. Yeah, let's try to help somebody. Ah. The official forms are labyrinthine, written in the smallest possible type for workers who can barely read. Unfortunately, you have no luck sorting through them. The hope of freedom in the worker's eye fades. They shuffle back through the gates. Well, that feels extremely terrible. Alright, let's, how do we write the port report? We have to go on the tour, don't we? Alright, buy our way in with a savage secret. Wait, am I misremembering? Maybe I'm misremembering. I thought we had to do something. We had to be in the proper, like, the Brabazon part of the work world to be able to write the port report, didn't we? Did we have to sneak away from the group? Yes. Here we go. Obviously, it won't help us to meet with the workers' leader at the moment. We know what's up. We know what we need. We also have the ability to provide books to a school, or to give charity if only we had some. Let's just click through the rest of the tour really quickly here. Alright, I don't think there's anything else for us to do. You know what? Signaling the revolutionary agent probably would have allowed us to write a port report. Well, whatever. They have tea for sale, also crockery. I'm going to let this barrel of fuel expire, and then we're going to buy one more barrel of fuel here. Perhaps I am over-preparing. Okay, so we know nothing about the area south or west of Brabazon. I suppose let's send out the cavi once we push a little bit out here. Maybe he'll find us something interesting. Zounds! Your cavi is back and has something to report. Well, it's never a pleasant story, is it? And there really is a lot of just, like, mining and industry, and so, sort of like a lot of loose rocks and metal in Albion. I do kind of miss the high wilderness. Also, really just a huge number of coffins. Just sort of floating all over the place. Take that. Alright, you know what? Investigate a mysterious gleaming. Some of the coffins sparkle under a shroud of glass dust. And what's that amongst them? Something larger, winking with starlight. Well, I can't not go after this. Damn it. You lean precariously from the exterior door, reaching out with your coal shovel. At last you make contact with the object and slowly, painfully slowly, draw it in. As soon as you see what it is, you bundle it in your coat, but too late. A stoker has already seen. Later, you examine it in privacy. It is a human head fashioned from bottle green glass. Glass hair, glass teeth, glass gums, a glass mole, distorting the watery light of your lamp that shines through it. A third of the head has been sheared away, as if struck with something heavy. In the exposed cross-section, you can see the glass scalp, the glass skull, the glass brain. Ah, that's really something. Oh, I am not alone. Okay, why don't we, I guess, deploy the canning equipment? And we have the space. Alright, well, this one I suppose we could just try to kill. We haven't had great luck with them, but... Oh, okay, you know what? If it's content to buzz off, I'm just going to let it. Ooh, well, okay, maybe it's not. I guess we'll find out. Ah, terror is really high. Yep, and it's not going to leave us alone. Man, I really thought I over-corrected there. It turns out it's just really hard to hit these guys because they have so much ability to move sideways so smoothly. Let's see if we can use the rock to break off pursuit. I'm hoping it'll get stuck there trying to chase us and then, like, lose sight of us eventually. I don't really want to fight it. Not with our terror being so high, especially. Okay. Maybe we're clear. I'm going to go out on a limb here and guess that this is going to be another bunch of caskets. And we're going to simply quietly honor the dead, because we really need that reduction in terror. Everything is further away than I think it will be. An engineer cries out, her voice hoarse as a professional mourner. Ah, the star's winking out, right. Well... You make a joke of it and her, that seems cruel. Set a watch on the stars. I think we should dispense an additional ration of brandy and just try to lower terror in general. Terror has been reduced by 4%. And this is not a thing we can interact with, sadly. Well, we need to go southwest, but we're going to do that by going south and then west so as to avoid that scribe spinster. Also, maybe we'll have the option of paying our respects here. Yep. Reduce terror. I thought about it, though. I did think about going after the secret. So there's some kind of thing happening, right? All these coffins are in fields of what appears to just be shattered glass. We saw that locomotive, like, overcome with glass, as though the glass were sprouting out of it. So I'm not 100% sure what's going on here, but I am sure that I think it was a bad idea to take that glass head on board. Maybe we shouldn't touch stuff like that. Really? Nothing. Okay. So I'm thinking, like, out here, right? We've probably given that scribe spinster more than enough room. That was a pretty good shot, if I do say so myself. Okay, I think that we are just canning, right? And then we're going to go hard reverse, hard reverse. Okay, there we go. Huh, interesting. It says that I have the option of investigating, but pressing R doesn't do anything. I think we need an assaying glass, and for some reason it's not showing that image anymore because I was able to loot a thing nearby, or I don't know, weird bug. Boy, sometimes you have to give the cavi a lot more supplies than other times to get him to go out. He just... I don't think he revealed anything new. We knew about both of those. Yeah, he just... he just lied to me and told me that he had reported something new. Hoped that I wouldn't notice. Or that I wouldn't be able to punish him when I did notice. Well, another massive industrial graveyard. Oh, another one of these things. Oh, that's not going to connect. Alright, so we'll try to use this as cover. Yeah, whatever's going on with the glass has happened here tremendously. What, do you forget I was here? What's going on? Okay, his projectiles have as long a range as mine do. Not something we're actually used to seeing. Most enemy projectiles have a pretty short range. Ah. Got him with one of them. Yes, good shooting. Not even seeing the thick black smoke of injury, though. Makes me a little nervous. That's a bad shot. Ow, 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 ow. Oh, I'm not a fan of this. Just like in the open. See if we can take him around this. Is this a giant train engine? No, this is a building. You can see the shape of it. Like a train engine laying on its side, maybe? You can sort of see what I'm talking about. Okay. A little concerned about this range, but we do have a superior angle on him if I can just... There we go. We'll probably get a nameplate from that. We can search the crew cabins. Half of it has been reduced to wreckage. The remainder is almost entirely vitrified. Glass cracks underfoot. 7 years bad luck with every step. So we could gain some stuff, but I really don't have... I don't have a lot of room to gain terror right now. We could lose crew if we go for this and fail. The panes of stained glass are pretty valuable, though. And we just can't gain terror if we don't have to. Clad in your sky suits, you and several crew locate a wide section of glass contamination on the Dreadnought's underbelly. But as you gingerly pry it free, hairline fractures begin to spread across it. The hull groans. Your crew panic. Okay, so I think, from my perspective as a player, I think I would rather lose the crew and save the glass, because I think actually having fewer crew is probably good for us. Unless we lose crew again and end up not being able to operate the train safely. But that does also make me feel like a monster. Let's just get everybody's safety. Hey, a tale of terror. That's not bad. You scramble to safety as the hull splits and the glass shatters into a spray of razor-sharp shards. You retrieve some larger pieces, which might fetch a few sovereigns in port, and retreat to your engine with your lives and a story of a close call. So we got a nameplate. I think we needed 12 for our moment of inspiration, so we're getting there. We still gained terror. We gained a tale of terror. We needed 15 of these, I think. And we didn't really take too much damage doing that, at least. Okay, there's a horror to our southwest. And also, we're just kind of always gaining terror here. This is a bad place. I don't want to be here for very long. Lots of use for the assaying glass. Yep, once again, can't investigate, even though we were given the option here. The port's right by the... Alright. Alright. Don't know that we really have a choice here. And we have to do it, right? We need the money. That's ridiculous. Of course I have a choice. We could just bail. But we don't have a choice of not doing this and also being greedy. What the hell was that? Okay, it's just part of the machinery. This whole thing is a great big, just absolute terror, apparently. I cannot even kind of read that. Oh, that's the wrong way. There we go. Too much, too much. Okay. Dock, please. Well, the new port has reduced our terror at least a little bit. The dock is rarely used, and its maintenance has lapsed. There's evidence of rust and metal strain, but only of non-crucial components. It's safe to stop for now. Once inside the dock, the sun's scouring light is diminished. An outpost on the roaring edge of the sun, shielded from malevolent light by an eggshell of stained glass. As you emerge from your train, suit-swaddled engineers gather, plainly astonished by your arrival. They bombard you with complex questions about how you dealt with the dense sunlight and skewed chronosolar fields. Once satisfied, they hand out protective suits to you and your crew. Yours is patched and torn, one boot missing. You successfully reached the Clockwork Sun. We sort of got here by accident. It didn't really seem that hard. I guess we'll just get into the suit. An engineer sprays you with a substance that smells like lemons gone wrong and searches your pockets. A cursory effort at best. They seem distracted. Yeah, gee, I wonder what by. Sunlight seeps like syrup through cracks in the stained glass ceiling. The floor shudders in time with the churning machinery far beneath your feet. The air has a tang of chemicals, bonfires, and rain. Pistons pump, cogs turn, and suit-swaddled figures tend to the enginery, bellowing over the shrieking metal. The Clockwork Sun is the preeminent symbol of the Empire's heavenly dominion. The newspapers in London call it enduring, everlasting, eternal. Well, I guess let's write this report. This ought to be interesting reading. In response to your questions, the engineers shrug. The day dawns, the sun brightens. The night comes, the sun dims. What more is there to say? Some of them seem so exhausted they can barely stand. They insist it's proximity to the sun that affects their sleep. I can see how that would be the case. You now have one yearning burning. Huh. Well... Hold on a moment before we do anything else. Let's go ahead and sell them the tea. Oh, a permit. Very interesting. The Clockwork Sun does not, of course, run on tea, but the battalion of engineers who maintain it surely must. Every month, a new tender for 3 caddies of dried tea is offered. A solitary foreman asks you to wheel the tea through empty corridors to a storeroom. It is stacked with identical, unopened, dust-covered crates. Either the Sun's engineers don't like tea, unthinkable, or there are fewer of them than is presumed. And they would sell us an awful lot of munitions. Holy crap. We might go ahead and just buy all of that and take it back to London. The decommissary. So, this is the normal price for stained glass windows. We still have 4 crates of fuel. I might just buy all of these munitions. Right? That's not a very hard sale. I guess hold on. Let's conclude our business in Sunspur before we buy anything. Because who knows what they might give us, right? We can head toward the sundial-shaped building. He'll be the sequencer's new favorite project, one of the engineers tells you. It'll keep him out of our hair for a while. Alright, I'd like to meet a sequencer. Azimuth is an enormous sundial without shadow, its roof topped by a golden shark fin, gnomon. Alright, well that's a real hold on while I Google this word. Think how educational the series... Nope, nothing. A gnomon is the part of the sundial that casts the shadow. Oh! Okay, I didn't know that. There are still racks of yellowed pamphlets on the walls. It once served as a kiosk, selling tickets to sunspotters, the pilgrims and tourists that were expected to flock here. Sunspotting here doesn't seem that hard. There it is. I did it. These days it is more like a temple. Frescoes on the curved wall depict the triumph of the new sun over the old. I'm concerned about the burning. I'm concerned about all this burning. Figure in a yellow-collared protective suit is delivering a sing-song sermon to mostly empty pews. The dazzled sequencer looks up, delighted at your approach, and hurriedly wraps up his speech. He offers you tea, with a flash of 2 white teeth. Ooh, okay. Together we can help the less fortunate, he says. You will be compensated for your time. Yeah, alright. What do you want? There are many poor souls out there in need of our help. Beleaguered, ignorant masses. I've never met them, but I'm sure they exist. He pauses to wipe his eyes. When we lift them from their contemptible state, perhaps they will come to appreciate the greatness of the sequence. He sends an orderly to fetch a wooden crate. Once it's set down before him, he wraps the lid proudly. 600 manuals on how to correctly tie a bow tie. Deliver these to Brabazon Workworld, and I am sure they will be immensely benefited by their improved understanding of etiquette. Oh, okay. Okay. Alright. Weird. Hey, buddy, what do you do up here? The only other people up here are disturbed prisoners and exhausted engineers. I am a priest of the new sequence, declares the sequencer. The brightest truth, the wildfire that has swept Albion. He points out at the expanse of the sun. There burns a beacon, a savior, an aspect of God. We venerate the clockwork sun and its immortal architect, our empress. I'm here to greet pilgrims and safeguard the souls of our engineers. Azimuth is also the only access route to the sun-shattered dome, an exhibition hall that was built back when we received more visitors. The dome is terribly dangerous, and I advise you to avoid it, no matter how much you hear about the priceless artifacts inside. Priceless artifacts. Okay. Here's the thing. I would like to know more about that, please. The sequencer obviously takes his role as a gatekeeper seriously. He fusses around you, checking you and your crew's gear, tugging on straps, checking for rips, wiping your stained glass goggles with a silk handkerchief. All the while, he spouts an endless stream of warnings. Don't enter the Shalimar, never travel in a group of 3 or fewer, resist the urge to sing, no matter how fiercely your throat burns. Huh. And for sequence's sake, watch the condition of your suit. With that, he pats you on the back, hands you a brochure, and sends you through the heavy iron door to the dome. Okay, this is going to be another one of these limited interactions things. Exhibition halls, built to accommodate sunspotter tourists and sequence pilgrims, and abandoned long after the dangers of the sun became impossible to hide. Priceless paintings hang in bleached rags. Magnificent relics have been left to accumulate glittering glass dust. Is anything still intact? The stained glass sky has collapsed, and unfiltered sunlight gnaws savagely at your hazard suit. It is currently undamaged, though a little shabby. You come upon what looks like a glittering gold carousel, but instead of horses it features glass bottles as tall as you. They are each filled with a near impenetrable liquid, and within, dark shapes writhe sluggishly. Weird. Alright, so we definitely want to watch the state of our suit and head back to safety before it runs out. We could investigate the carousel, but also, let's just search elsewhere. It will cost valuable time and entail greater risk, but treasure beckons around the next corner. You know it. I know it somehow. Okay, this is not new text. Attempt to navigate the bad patch. Okay, some of this text is different. Stained glass sky has collapsed, and unfiltered sunlight gnaws savagely... No, this is the new part. A scream. One of your crew is staring in horror at her hand, which has suddenly shriveled and sprouted liver spots. The light can do strange things to the flow of time, and you seem to have strayed into a bad patch. Well, let us attempt to navigate the bad patch. Partial success. That's not what I wanted. You guide your crew through the patch of lumpy time. Once everyone is through, you find yourself in an area of the dome seemingly untouched by previous explorers. A quick search uncovers an intact exhibit, a shroud of fabric that, even here, ravenously consumes light. On the return journey, however, you run into trouble. The stoker carrying the bombazine makes a misstep and begins to wail as his leg withers and rots beneath him. Jesus. Unbalanced, he falls forward and the bombazine tumbles from his grip. In the split second available to you, your economic instinct triumphs. I would like to think I am not this person, but also, do have 11 crew members. I mean, do we need everybody? No? Okay, listen. I think that there is a pretty good chance that our character would... The bombazine, this is what we're talking about, the exhibit, right? Hold on, I guess I'll just, yes. Okay, a twilled dress fabric of worsted and silk or cotton. Okay, so that is the exhibit. I think that we would probably instinctively try to save the exhibit because it's weird, not because it's valuable, but like a desire to understand it. You wince at the crew member's infinitesimally brief scream. In an instant, all that's left of him is dust and bone fragments. The rest of your crew whisper angrily behind your back. But we got that thing. The suit has been damaged. Yeah, man. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that choice I just made. Suit is 3. Soon you stumble upon a gleaming forest of glass sculptures. As you get closer, you realize they were once tourists from back when the exhibition was still open to the public. What were they clustered around? You try to pick our way through them, but we're unlikely to succeed. Let's just search elsewhere. You come upon what looks like a glittering gold carousel. Okay, the carousel again. Well, we found our way back here. I guess let's try to check it out. Oof, I feel like we're rolling way below expected value a lot lately. Brushing aside glitter dust, you discover a label on the carousel's base. Tempest Prognosticator. Each bottle is similarly labeled Philosopher. Something roils through the glass. You study the controls to no avail. You pull some levers at random and nothing happens. You attempt to pull one of the bottles free, but it's moored far too firmly. Eventually you're forced to give up and move on. Yeah, that's disappointing. Hey, we found our way back to the carousel. I'm tempted to just roll the dice on this again, because I am very curious. Yeah, sure. Man, really? 60%. Ugh. Okay, now we got a bad patch again. Can we maybe just try to search elsewhere? Here we go. Here's something new. You find your path blocked by a tangle of bleached white foliage. The Shalimar Garden exploded from its greenhouse long ago, feeding furiously on the sun's light until it swelled to a jungle. We could attempt to explore it. We were specifically warned away from this, and our iron's not super high. And our suit status is 1. Maybe we should just bounce. Yeah, let's leave. Let's visit the glass house. There's a dozen signs warning you to stay away, each more insistent than the last, and the engineers shout, but they're too busy to stop you. I'm a little worried about topping out our terror meter, but also very, very curious. An isolated section of the abandoned exhibition halls has been repurposed to hold not treasures, but prisoners. Each wears a gray smock rather than a protective suit, leaving them utterly undefended from the ravages of sunlight. They sit slumped in unlocked cells, making no effort to escape. After all, where would they go? Some of the prisoners are shining at the seams. Some have eyes of curdled glass. A fractured face turns to watch you. A few are singing in praise of the sun, mouths bloody and throats tattered. You should perhaps be horrified. Yes, I think so. but the song wraps tender chords around your mind and numbs you. Glass crunches underfoot. When you lift your boot, you discover a cracked ear beneath. Ooh, boy, we should not be here. We could attempt to speak with the prisoners. They either scream or sing. You may not get anything halfway lucid from them, and I bet talking to them will raise our terror. Only one cell is locked, and the man within is neither singing nor screaming. The left half of his body is shimmering, translucent. The half-glass empty. Alright, that pun's worth an approach. Only the flesh and muscle of his left half has vitrified, not the bones and blood within. Ew. The glass is suffused with 1,000 fine frozen capillaries, like delicate red cracks running through ice. He fixes you with an anguished square. Get me out of here. Yeah, we should do that, probably. This was an exhibition hall once, never a prison. An engineer must have had to install those bars specifically for him. Yeah, that's a good point. We should maybe pursue that line of questioning. The others would not leave even if they could. Their minds are lost. The empty attempts a one-sided shrug. And, well, the Empire sent me here because I was smuggling sunlight from the Neath, back before the horizon closed. When I sold it, I told my customers that the light from the clockwork sun was toxic, and true sunlight was the only cure. Ended up causing a minor panic in London. I think one of the engineers locked me in here because he took offense at my criticism, though... He gestures at his vitrified body. I stand by it. Yeah, I think there's definitely some evidence that he might be right. Do you remember when I think last episode I was talking about seeing if we could maybe sabotage the Clockwork Sun? At the time I was thinking because it's a symbol of Her Majesty's power and everything, but now I think there's a lot of reasons to try to do that. I don't know if it's a thing we can actually do, but I'm certainly interested. We should agree to let this guy out, right? We gotta try. He might know something that could be useful in messing with the sun. Thank you. His voice is hoarse, and he speaks in barely a whisper. You will need to find a permit for my release and present it to the steward. Forged, legitimate, I don't care. I need to acquire 3 permits. Okay, well those are not super easy to come by, but I'll hold on to the one we have now, I guess, and we'll see if we can't put it together. Should we even attempt to speak with the prisoners? I bet we gain terror. Yeah, alright, let's do it. Okay, we rolled a success. You root out one of the newer prisoners, a woman whose mind isn't entirely fractured. Her eyes are shining gold, her fingertips pearlescent. With a calm manner and firm words, you momentarily manage to stop her singing. With a newly focused gaze, she tells you what she's seen. Men shattered, men unmade. It hates us, she says, staring at her glass-tipped fingers. Okay, well, those are useful. We should leave. You've left the prisoners behind, so why do you still hear their songs? I guess there's only one place left to go. The vaults below are safer, protected by a dozen layers of stained glass. Beneath the machine-bristling surface, you find a ring of 9 vault doors, each engraved with the name of a classical muse. 8 are locked and barred, behind signs saying things like vacant or under renovation, or, in one case, unfortunate chronological discrepancies. The 9th, marked Terpsichore, is the only door open to you. When you enter, your footsteps ring through dusty barracks and abandoned canteens. These are the engineers' quarters, but they are all on the surface working. Except one. The broken steward has been working on the sun since before it first shone. She has been here far, far longer than any of the engineers above. The broken steward makes her way carefully toward you, cane clacking on the floor. She has a markedly stiff-limbed gait, and her arms creak as she removes her helmet. Okay, yep. 1 to authorize the release of the half-glass empty, 1 to authorize the authorization, and a 3rd to confirm that the authorization has been authorized. Ah, that's how they do things here. She smiles. Her teeth glint oddly. She catches you glancing at her mouth and smiles even wider. Her teeth are shards of cracked glass, protruding at odd angles from her gums. It's not just the teeth, she says, with a brusque air that brooks no sympathy. Damned sun turned my bones as well. Terrible nuisance, really. Gets in the way of my work. You notice her fixed neck, her stiff limbs, her careful movements. It's not too bad, she says. Good thing I like soup. Yeah. That's really gross. We're just gonna leave here. Back out into the poison light, you know? I think we should bounce. Like, let's just get the hell out of here. Let's buy as many of those... Well, not what I want. Buy as many of those carefully packed crates as we can carry and get the hell out of here. Do I want to... No, probably not. I was considering dumping maybe a crate of fuel for one of these, but I think we're only going to end up making 20 sovereigns on each of these anyway, right? Don't they sell for 60? So if we get rid of a crate of fuel that is worth 20 sovereigns to make 20 sovereigns, it doesn't really help us very much. Did I buy too many? Oh, no, that's if I were to buy again, I'd be at 20. Okay. Well, I think that's probably where we're going to end it for today. Episode got long, but a lot of weird stuff kept happening. A lot of weird, interesting stuff. So thank you all so much for watching. Come back next time when we put this sun in the rearview mirror and hopefully stop looking at it entirely. And we'll see you then.